This video is a continuation from part 1 of the overview of the DMT process with the use of a CVT stick. In the part 1 video, we had left off with adjusting the span diameter for various spans on a pole. I left off with adjusting the span diameters for these primary wires, and now I'm going to continue by modifying the span diameters of these spans down here. So again, what I've done is selected a span to focus on. I'm zooming in to about this scale and selecting that span over here in my 3D view. You can see that it's highlighted here, and currently its span diameter is 0.36. So using my conductor diameter tool and left clicking in the middle of that span and dragging my cursor, I can get a measure for what the diameter of that span is. So I'm going to select substitute from catalog again, and it opens up this window here. So my measured value is 0.53, and again the value that I currently have is 0.36, so it's a little bit of a difference. And again, what's happening here is my diameter is being used with this 5% threshold to determine the range of spans that I can look at and choose from. So I'm only looking at spans between this range, and there are only 2 in our master catalog. And since the span was originally copper, I'm going to keep it a copper, but just use this 4-aught copper 7-strand since its diameter is 0.52, so it's a little bit closer to the one that we measured. So I'm going to select it here and hit OK. And over in my inventory list, I should see that it's been replaced. This 4-aught took the place of the 1-aught that was here, so I'm just going to use this and replace sort of its fellows as well. And with that, I'll see that our overall capacity is 71.4. Now 71.4 is less than it was originally, so I think something went a little awry here. If I look at my pole, I can see that it did. My span's tension changed, so I'm just going to have to go in and sort of override that. So I'm going to go in and just put in a value for the slack tension. My span's total rated strength is 9,160, so I'm going to put in about 150 pounds. I'm going to go ahead and do that for each one of these. Now, tension is a topic covered in another video, as well as on the wiki page if you're curious about what the different tension types are and how you would go about adjusting those. So that's more reasonable. I'm back up to 81.2. Again, I still have one of these that's not quite where it should be. There, so now all of my spans are showing a tension value here. So you'll see we're up to 86.3. So going back over to my measure tab and zooming out a little bit on my photo, one thing that you'll notice is all of these labels are placed for different installation heights and span diameters. If you wish, you can delete those. You can simply right click on a label and hit delete. It'll ask you if you want to remove the label, and you can hit yes. Any labels that you leave on here can be printed out on the photo. Under the Reports tab, you have the option to print the original photo as well as a photo that's annotated with these sort of labels here. Now, there are other options listed over here, including this arbitrary measure tool, which measures in a straight line. All I'm doing is left clicking and dragging, and when I release my left click, I get a measurement value in inches. You can add a label for that as well. This can help you get an approximate size for things like cross arms and street line arms. There's also an angle tool, which allows you to, say if you were looking dead on at this pole, get a measure of an angle by dropping a starting point, a midpoint, and an end point, and it will take a measure of this angle. I'm not going to add a label. So let's say, for whatever reason, you're unable to see one of these targets. I'm going to hit calibrate, and it will wipe out everything that I've done so far. I'm going to make this window a little bit bigger. Now let's say there is a car in the way, or one of these targets is obscured for whatever reason, be it a car or a tree branch or snow, but you're unable to see one of these targets, a newer feature is that you are able to approximate the location of that target. So let's assume, if we go over to our other darker photo, that we were to use this one for our calibration if it was the only photo we had. Let's say we're actually unable to see this bottom target. You can approximate its location by performing a shift click. So again, I'm going to zoom into my box. It is the same size as this road reflective area, which you wouldn't be able to see if you're approximating. This whole area might just be black, or there might be something in the way. And I'm going to do a shift click, and it drops a white crosshair. The white crosshair is what's indicating that it's an approximation. So you can approximate one of the targets, you do need to have the other three. So I'm going to calibrate this the normal way for the rest of the targets by just doing a simple left click and dropping a red crosshair. I will finish this up. And now, because you still have given it 3 of those locations, it's approximating where this 4th one is going to be based on the distances that it has pre-programmed for how far apart these targets need to be. The last thing I want to cover is a new feature in O-Calc Pro version 5.03 that will allow a user to utilize this DMT or digital measurement technology process with something other than a CVT stick. You'll notice that up here is a text box indicating what your method essentially is for calibrating these targets, and it's currently set to a white 13-foot CVT stick. Now what you can also do is change your current image's target type. Now what this does is opens up a list of options here for different types of targets. So you'll see that there are a couple included. As of the release date of the 5.03 version, there will be a new option for a surveying stick that's incremented by 1 foot. I believe it currently has red and yellow coloring, and there's 1 foot sort of extent indicators on there that you'll be able to use to do this calibration process. So rather than just dropping 4 targets, what you'll be doing is actually dropping a target at each of those points where the color changes, so basically at each 1 foot mark. So until that process is released, you can just simply utilize the white 13-foot CVT. Making these adjustments based on the DMT process using the CVT is really going to help ensure that your capacity utilization is as accurate as possible, especially in situations like in this one where you're slowly approaching the pole being overloaded. And that concludes this video.